Hello everyone, welcome back to online lecture series on engineering thermodynamics. In our previous lecture, we have finished the chapter of entropy. Today we are going to begin a new chapter, that is exergy. Before going into our new chapter, we will quickly do a revision of our previous topic, that is entropy. In our previous lecture, we began with entropy transfer with the heat flow. So in this system, the change of entropy is given by d cut q reversible upon T. So whenever heat is added to the system, d cut q will be positive and entropy of the system will increase as well as and vice versa. So here this is the heat is leaving from the system and it is given to the surrounding. So there is an increase in the entropy of surrounding and the decrease of entropy of system is given by this formula. We both are same. On other hand, there is no entropy transfer associated with the work. The next theory was entropy generation in closed system. So entropy can increase in two ways. First is by heat interaction and second is by internal irreversibilities or dissipative effects in which work is dissipated into internal energy increase. So these are the two ways the entropy can increase. So the entropy increase due to the internal irreversibilities or dissipative effects is known as entropy generation. So here we have taken this two paths, and here we have obtained the quantity that is lost work, which is shown over here. So the entropy of the system of the closed system increases due to heat addition and internal dissipation. This is another example that we have taken here. So this is our first law of thermodynamics, and we can also write down in this simple way. By second law, the delta S is always greater than or equal to this integration of d cut q upon T. So there is some excess amount, that is the same thing is written over here, and this x is nothing but, if we remove the inequality and replace it with equality, we need to put this x term, that is S generation. And S generation, that is the entropy generation, is depends on the path. That's why it is not a property of the system. Then the next topic was entropy generation in open system. So we have now taken open system in which mass can enter as well as leave the control volume. So this is the energy equation that we have written. By second law, we can write down this. So here we need to separately count for the entropy which is associated with the mass that is entering and leaving the control volume. That's why these two first terms are present. Then we have obtained the rate of entropy generation. If entropy generation rate is 0, then the process is reversible. If it is greater than 0, then it is irreversible process, and if it is less than 0, the process is impossible. So these are the another various forms of the same entropy equation and energy equation. So this was the end of the chapter of entropy. So now we will begin our new chapter of today, that is exergy. So let's begin. First, we are going to discuss about available energy. The sources of energy can be divided into two groups. First is high grade energy and second is low grade energy. During our chapter of second law of thermodynamics, we had done a short discussion on these two things, that is high grade energy and low grade energy. We will see them in detail in this chapter. So first of all, we will see the high grade energy. Mechanical work, electrical work, water power, wind power, kinetic energy of jet and tidal power are examples of high grade energy. Second is heat or thermal energy, heat derived from nuclear fission or fusion, heat derived from combustion of fossil fuels are examples of low grade energy. So if you see carefully, the high grade energy is having all kinds of majority of work or power or energy. You can see here power or work is more coming, while in case of low grade energy all the heat energy or thermal kind of an energy or heat or again heat is coming. So obviously based on these examples that you are observing right now, work and power of any form are high grade energy and heat or energy associated with heat are low grade energy. Here the bulk of high grade energy in form of mechanical work or electrical energy is obtained from sources of low grade energy such as fuels through a medium of cyclic heat engine. So if you recall, the basic power plants which are working are utilizing traditional fuels, that is like coals, which are burned in a boiler, and we are converting water into steam with the help of this burning of fuel, and we are running a turbine. That's why we are getting work output and subsequently we are getting electrical energy. So here in majority of the cases low grade energy is converted into high grade energy. This is happening everywhere because we always seek for high grade energy, that is work and power. Okay, now the complete conversion of low grade energy into high grade energy is impossible by virtue of second law of thermodynamics, as we have seen that some heat must be rejected into the sink. So if you still don't remember, we can also do a small revision of this. That suppose here we are having some source, okay, and we are having a heat engine over here, and we need some work output. Then as per the second law of thermodynamics, some heat must be rejected over here, that is sink. So here Q1 is there, that is consider this Q1 to be low grade energy and W to be high grade energy. So as per the second law or Kelvin-Planck statement, Q2 must be rejected over here. That's why there is no complete conversion of low grade energy into high grade energy. So what is happening over here, that we are having low grade energy, and we are after heat engine process we are getting two parts, that is one is again low grade energy, and then one we are getting over here is high grade energy. So this is always going to happen. So we cannot avoid this part, okay, as per the second law of thermodynamics. So let me erase this. So that part of low grade energy which is available for conversion is referred to as available energy, while the part which must be rejected to the sink is known as unavailable energy. Okay, so this is available energy, and the part which is not useful is unavailable energy. Now our next theory is available energy referred to a cycle. So as you can see, again the same heat engine we have drawn, our standard heat engine cycle. So here we are having a heat source which is at temperature T1, and here there is a heat sink at temperature T2, and in between them we are running a heat engine denoted with E, and we are getting some work output. So here in this case, for obviously we can write down this, that T1 is greater than T2, okay, and this is obviously a TS diagram. Now the only different thing that we are having over here is we have added something which is T0, that is environmental temperature in this TS diagram. So the maximum obtainable maximum work output obtainable from a certain heat input in a cyclic heat engine is called as available energy. Okay, so here the minimum energy that has to be rejected to a sink by a second law is called as unavailable energy, that we have already seen. Therefore Q1 is equal to available energy plus unavailable energy. So still we can do a small sketch over here, that here we are getting this W max. W, let us say this is available energy, and here we are rejecting this Q2 which is equal to unavailable energy, and here there is a Q1, that is the heat which is being supplied. So obviously you can see that Q1 is equal to summation of available energy and unavailable energy. So W max, that is available energy, is given by Q1 minus unavailable energy based on the above formula. Now for a given temperature T1 and T2, the reversible efficiency is given by 1 minus T2 by T1. Now if we focus on this formula particularly, let us say that we don't have control over T1, that is our T1 is fixed and we cannot change. So how we can maximize this eta reversible? So if we keep on lowering this temperature T2, that is the temperature at which the heat is rejected, then eta reversible will keep on increasing and maximum reversible efficiency is obtained at minimum temperature of T2. That is the minimum temperature of T2 which is possible is T0, that is environmental temperature. So here the lowest practicable temperature of heat rejection is the temperature of the surrounding, that is T0. So this eta reversible will be maximum when the heat is rejected at environmental temperature or surrounding temperature. So here now eta reversible is replaced with 1 minus T0 upon T1, and W max is given by this formula. Why? Because eta is nothing but W divided by Q1. So here W is equal to eta into Q1, and eta in our case right now is 1 minus T0 by T1 into Q1. Okay, I need to erase this part. So now we will see the unavailable energy by second law. In this figure, it is a TS diagram and we are having a process which is going from state X to state Y, and it is providing the heat is Qxy, and here there are two portions which are shown. First is available energy, which is W max is equal to Wxy, and second is unavailable energy, that is T0 Sy minus Sx. So let's see. Let us consider a finite process xy in which heat is supplied reversibly to the heat engine, which is shown over here. Taking an elementary cycle, if d cut Q1 is the heat received by reverse engine reversibly at T1, we can write down this based on this formula only. See, here the same formula is being repeated over here in the differential form. So we can write down this, and this is nothing but available energy. Now for heat engine receiving heat for the whole process xy and rejecting it to T0, we need to integrate this obviously. So here we are getting this part. We have integrated entire equation from x to y. So here once we integrate this, we will be obtaining W max, which is available energy. Here the integration of this term will be Qxy, and integration of the second term will be T0 into Sy minus Sxy, because here actually what we are doing is integration of x to y d cut Q1 over T1, which is nothing but Sy minus Sx x. Okay, so obviously the unavailable part will be the total heat which is being supplied minus maximum work obtainable. So the unavailable part is T0 Sy minus Sx. And if you see in this figure, T0 into Sy minus Sx is nothing but this. This is the portion which is unavailable energy. Because here this is the value of Sx and this is the value of Sy. So based on the simple rectangle formula, the area of this red highlight will be T0 into Sy minus Sx, and the integration that we have done over here, that W max value, which is, as you can see over here, is this, that is Qxy minus T0 into Sy minus Sx. So it is available over here. That portion is this. So this portion is of available energy. So now you can clearly distinguish between these two. So the whole is Qxy minus we are deducting the unavailable part. So here the unavailable energy is nothing but a product of lowest temperature of heat rejection, that is T0 in this case, and the change of entropy of the system during the process of supplying heat. The available energy is also known as exergy and unavailable energy is known as energy. Now our next theory is decrease in available energy when the heat is transferred through a finite temperature difference. So let's begin. So first of all, as you all are aware, this is our standard Carnot cycle. Here we have taken temperature limits as T1 and the second limit as environmental temperature T0 in order to obtain the maximum work output. So here, whenever the heat is transferred through a finite temperature difference, there will be a decrease in availability of energy. We will see this statement again, that let us consider a reversible heat engine that is operating between T1 and T0, as you can see in this figure. So Q1 can be written as T1 delta S and Q2 as T0 delta S. So first Q1, that is area under this red line. So as the temperature is Ts and this portion is delta S. Okay, so once we multiply T1 and delta S, we can get the value of Q1, and similarly the value of Q2, that is the quantity of heat which is being rejected into the environment, is here, over here. Q2, which is equal to T0 into delta S. So here the work output W is equal to here work output is the available energy which is given by the difference is Q1 minus Q2. So here W is nothing but Q1 minus Q2, which is equal to T1 delta S minus T0 delta S. So we will be getting T1 minus T0 into delta S. Okay, so here now we are having some change over here. Let us assume that the heat Q1, that is over here, the heat Q1 is transferred through a finite temperature difference from a reservoir or a source at T1 to a heat engine absorbing heat at T1 prime, which is lower than T1. So we will see this, what they are trying to say. Here in this figure, our original temperature is this T1, that is the highest temperature, and it is providing heat Q1 at temperature T1. This source is providing heat Q1 at temperature T1, and this is being supplied to a heat engine which is absorbing heat at temperature T1 prime. So this Q1 is being supplied to this heat engine which is receiving heat at T1 prime. Okay, so the same quantity Q1 is being supplied to this heat engine at T1 prime. Now the availability of Q1 as received by heat engine T1 can be found by allowing the engine to operate reversibly in the cycle between T1 prime and T0. So what we are doing now is we are running this heat engine to we are allowing this heat engine to operate reversibly. So it will be operating here. Okay, this will be the operation of heat engine. So here the availability Q1 as received, so we will see the availability of Q1 over here. So Q1, which can be written, so first of all Q1 can be written as first of all this on the basis of temperature T1. So based on T1, if we need to write down, then Q1 can be written as T1S, T1 into delta S, or it can also be written with this formula on basis of temperature T1 prime. So here we are getting this T1, based on T1 prime we can write down Q1 is equal to T1 prime into delta S prime. So here you see this is the value of delta S prime, which is utilized to calculate the Q1 based on T1 prime, and this value is delta S, which is utilized for calculation of Q1 on basis of T1. So here as you can see that T1 is greater than T1 prime. So if you see this formula, let me write down over here that T1 delta S is equal to T1 prime delta S prime. As T1 is greater than T1 prime, so this is greater and this is lower. So to have this equality sign, this must be lower and this must be higher. This is simple mathematics. So delta S prime must be greater than delta S. Okay, now let us focus on Q2 part. So here Q2 can be written, let us say that here we are having this value as Q2, that is T0 delta S. So this is the part of Q2 which can be written as T0 into delta S, and Q2 prime, Q2 prime is T0 into delta S prime, that can be shown as this. So here what I am trying to say that this portion can be seen over here with this blue dark line, and the previous portion can be seen over here, that is Q2 is equal to T0 into delta S. Now if we need to compare these two, as T0 is same in both the equations, as delta S is greater than delta S prime is greater than delta S, so Q2 prime must be greater than Q2. So to focus on this again, let us say here Q2 is equal to T0 delta S and Q2 prime is T0 delta S1. So let me write down over here both of them. Q2 is equal to T0 delta S and Q2 prime is equal to T0 delta S prime. So as delta S prime is greater than delta S, as we have seen over here, what I am focusing right now is this portion. We have seen this. That's why based on that Q2 prime will always be greater than Q2. Now the next portion is W prime, that is the work output. which is given by q1 minus q2 prime. So we can write down this t1 prime as we have utilized this over here, t1 prime delta s prime minus t0 delta s prime. So in another way we can write down w. Let us say that we are not going into this t1 prime thing, we are directly operating between t1 and t0, then the work output will be q1 minus q2, which is equal to t1 delta s minus t0 delta s. So here again, when we compare these two, let me write down over here. First of all, w prime is equal to t1 prime delta s prime minus t0 delta s prime, and w, which is written over here, let us say here is, as you can see, it is t1 into delta s. So instead of t1 into delta s, we can also write down t1 prime into delta s prime. So let me directly write down this formula, yellow highlighted, that here we can also replace it in this way: t1 prime is into delta s prime minus t0 delta s. And now if we need to compare these two, as you can see that here we are having this relationship, this, that is delta s prime is greater than delta s. So this term will be more than this term. As it is in the negative part, we can obviously say that w prime will be less than w, and the same thing is written over here, that w prime is less than w because q2 prime is greater than q2. So let me erase this part. You can write down this by pausing this video. So here the work output has been reduced, so available energy has been reduced, that is available energy lost due to the irreversible heat transfer through a finite temperature difference between source and working fluid during the heat addition process. So here, as we are having finite temperature difference between T1 and T1 prime, that's why we have lost the available energy, and the difference that has been lost is given by W minus W prime is equal to Q2 prime minus Q2 is equal to T0 into delta S prime minus delta S. That is, here the decrease in available energy or decrease in exergy is thus product of lowest visible temperature of the heat rejection, that is T0, and the additional entropy change in the system. Now our next theory is available energy from a finite temperature difference. So let's begin. Now we need to focus on this figure first. Let us consider a hot gas of mass mg let us consider a hot gas of mass mg at temperature T. So currently we are focusing over this point where we are having a hot gas with mass mg having temperature T at state 1 when the environmental temperature is T0. So here this is the limit of temperature for environment, so we cannot go lower than this. That you need to remember. Okay, now let the gas to be cooled at constant pressure from state 1, that is over here, at temperature at temperature T to state 3 at temperature T0, that is over here. So this is the way cooling is happening. So this is the state 3. So we are actually going from state 1 to state 3 in this figure. In this way. Okay, now how we are going here, because heat is given up by gas, that is Q1 as seen in this figure over here. Be utilized in heating reversibly a working fluid of mass MWF from state 3 to state 1 along the same path. So as this is a rejecting the heat, there is also another working fluid which is getting this heat. Let us denote here that the another process which is simultaneously happening is this. This will be actually overlapping lines, overlapping curves here. So what is happening, that gas is rejecting heat and this working fluid is getting that heat, and the working fluid is going from state 3 to state 1 along the same path, so that the temperature difference between gas and working fluid at any instant is 0, and hence the entropy increase of the universe is also 0. So there is no entropy increase during this heat exchange process. Now let me erase this part. Q1 can be written as mg Cpg into T minus T0, that is for the part of gas, and the same heat is being received here, that is MWF Cpwf T minus T0, and it can be shown as area 14531. So the area for this heat input will be, we can see this will be the total area, This will be the total heat input. Now based on this, as T minus T0 is same over here, as here you can see that T minus T0 is same over here, we can say mg Cpg is equal to mwf Cpwf. So delta S gas, which is given by integration T to T0 mg Cpg dt over T. So the integration gives us ln T0 upon T, and this quantity will be negative. Why? Because the gas is actually rejecting the heat, that's why there is a decrease of entropy of gas. And delta SWF, that is the entropy change for the working fluid, is given by similar form, but it will be a positive value because it is gaining the heat, that's why there is an increase of entropy of working fluid. So based on this, the delta S universe, that is summation of entropy in change for gas and working fluid, will be 0. So here the value of Q2 is also given by T0 delta SWF, which can be also written, which is written as T0 MWF CPWF ln T minus T0. Now available energy part, which is W maximum is equal to Q1 minus Q2. So first we have written this standard formula from our previous slide, minus Q2, that is this formula. There are few things I need to mention over here in this figure. Is in this figure here, after obtaining this, after achieving this state 1 by working fluid, here it is expanding reversibly from 1 to 2 to obtain the work output, that is WE is equal to available energy, and then it is rejecting the heat at constant temperature T0 Q2. Okay, so this is the additional thing which is going on over here. After this heat exchange process between gas and working fluid, here this is one process which is happening, that is expansion of working fluid to obtain the work output, and then it is rejecting heat Q2 at temperature T0, so that it is completing a cycle. So this is the way these things are happening, which is not written over here. So here, that's why Q2 is coming, that is T0 delta S WF, which is equal to T0 MWF Cpwf ln T minus T0. Now available energy is given by W max Q1 minus Q2, and it is given by this formula, which is area 1231. So in this figure, once this is the yellow portion is total Q1, the unavailable energy part is given by this region. This is the unavailable part, and after once we take a difference of these two area, this portion 1, 2, 3, 1 will be the available energy part. Therefore, the available energy or exergy of gas at mg at temperature T is given by this formula. That is, available energy is given by mg Cpg into T minus T0 minus T0 ln T by T0. So from where this has been written, if we write down this formula, available energy is equal to, if we write down this, then instead of here mg Cpg T minus T0 minus T0 into, instead of MWF CPWF, we can also write down mg Cpg into ln T divided by T0. Okay, so once we take mg Cpg outside as a common, in bracket we will be getting this term. Okay, so this is the part of available energy. Now we will move forward with our new theory, that is useful work. So here all of the work W of system so here all the work W of the system would not be available for delivery, since certain amount of it will be spent on pushing out the atmosphere. So whatever work we are having is not fully available for the delivery. The useful work, which is actually useful, is defined as the actual work delivered by the system minus the work performed on the atmosphere. So if we see this figure now, let us say that V1 and V2 are initial and final volumes of the system. Previously the system was at V1 volume, and then finally it has been to V2, that is the final boundary, and final volume is V2. The surrounding atmosphere is having the parameters as P0 and T0. So the useful work WU becomes, WU is equal to W actual, that we are the actual work output minus this part, that is the work performed on the atmosphere, P0 into V2 minus V1. Similarly, the maximum useful work will be given by this formula, that WU max is equal to W max minus P0 into V2 minus V1. In differential form also we can write down this. So now let us consider a steady flow system where the volume of system does not change. Hence, the maximum useful work would remain same and no work is done on the atmosphere. That's why the negative part is not coming over here. As you can see in this portion, previously we were having this part. In case of steady flow system, the volume of system does not change. So the maximum useful work would remain same. So no work is done on the atmosphere. So we are getting this. But in case of unsteady flow open system or closed system, the volume of the system changes. Hence, when a system exchanges heat only with atmosphere, the maximum useful work becomes given by this formula, which is already written in our previous slide. Now, this equation here, instead of this entire equation, we have replaced it with this. For an open system, that dm1 h1 minus t0s1 plus v1 square by 2 gz1 minus dm2 same quantities at state 2 minus d into u plus p0v minus t0s plus mv square by 2 plus mgz. This whole formula is completely new and we haven't seen this before in our lecture or in our previous lectures. So for this formula that is written over here, you need to refer a theory which is reversible work by open system exchanging heat only with the surrounding. And if you can wait, we will discuss this whole topic in our next lecture. So for time being, you can accept this equation to complete this theory part, and in our next lecture we will derive this formula. So the above equation is maximum useful work for unsteady open system. For closed system, it can be written in this way, because if you see, for closed system the mass is not entering or leaving, so the first two big terms are not present, so only the third term is present, which is of negative sign. And it can also be written in this way, because here this u mv square by 2 and mgz, these three terms are combined together in the total energy E. And this whole equation was in differential form. In total form, we can write down that it is E1 minus E2 plus P0 V1 minus V2 minus T0 S1 minus S2. If kinetic and potential energy terms are neglected, then simply we can replace this total energy term with internal energy term, because mv square by 2 and mgz will not be present now. This can also be written in the another form. As you can see here we have only changed few things, that we have rearranged the terms, nothing else. So there is nothing new in this. So here this entire combination of terms, that is this u plus p0v minus t0s, this can be replaced with this phi 1, or similarly for phi 2, where this phi is called as availability function for the closed system, which is given by this formula, that phi is equal to u plus p0v minus t0s. So then we are having a new theory that we will discuss in our next lecture. At the same time, this yellow highlighted equation will be derived in our next lecture. So while you are studying this theory, you can simply accept this for 1 or 2 days, and we will be having derivation of this formula in our next lecture. So this is end of today's lecture. During this lecture we began with available energy, then available energy referred to a cycle, in which we saw that this the green highlighted portion is the available energy part. We obtained the formula of maximum work and unavailable energy. The next theory was decrease in available energy when the heat is transferred through a finite temperature difference, and we proved that there is a decrease of available energy. The next theory was useful work, and we have obtained sorry okay, the next theory was useful work, in which we derived this availability function for a closed system, which is given by phi is equal to u plus p0v minus t0s. So this is the end of today's lecture. Thank you for watching this video.